Hello, all you recovering emo kids. Amanda and Rob here with the Emo Kids Anonymous podcast. And today we are so excited to be
So
talking to
excited.
you guys about emo and is it dangerous?
Dangerous as heck, Amanda. It's so dangerous.
So dangerous. Yeah, obviously, if you were around in the 2000s, late 2000s, or know anything about emo history, you know there was a large part of that time period where emo was much maligned, not just the music, but the culture around emo, particularly 2000s emo culture. And a lot of parents, media outlets were calling emo dangerous, saying that they were part of the Black Parade cult and all of these things. So we thought we would
Yeah.
dive into this a little bit today, how it got started and what were the things they were really arguing about as far as what was considered dangerous about this. And then, of course, look at maybe the reasons why this is the way it was and how emo music isn't really dangerous and can be seen as more of a therapeutic or a good thing for teenagers and young adults to listen to. But before that, I know we have some news and things like that I'm sure Rob wants to get into. First and foremost,
Before
go
we
ahead,
get
Rob.
into anything, though, let me just tell you guys, if you're watching this, do us a favor, like, subscribe, smash consensually all the buttons that you need to smash, and just do yourself a favor and follow us, because I'm so sick of asking you. We have so many cool interviews coming out. By the time this is
So
out, the
many.
next day, I believe we'll have an interview with 10 Month Summer coming out. We got great ones coming up in the next few months or the next few weeks even. We're
Mhm.
talking Riley, we're talking Leisure Hour, we're talking Tomorrow's June. It doesn't matter. We got so many cool ones. You guys will hear them as they come. So please, I implore you, like and subscribe, do all that shit. Get on it. You know what I mean? Don't leave us hanging. Don't just watch. Don't just use us. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
make it a little, let it go both ways here. But yes, let's dive into the news. First off, the news, Amanda, I hate to say this. I hate the East Coast. I don't believe I'm ever going back after this weekend. Can I give you a little rundown?
Yeah, I would love to. As a East Coaster who absolutely loves the East Coast and wants to return so badly, I do not understand. So
The
please tell
worst
me.
place I've ever fucking been, Philadelphia. Philadelphia. If Philadelphia has no haters, I am dead. Let me just say though, first off, the
It
tasty
does.
cakes. I didn't. Let me just first off,
Did you get
I
candy
threw it.
cakes? Did you get
The
candy
candy
cakes? Did
cakes.
you get
I threw it.
cupcakes?
I threw it away. I got the candy cakes because we had the donuts before the Friday episode. They were dog shit. I tried the candy cakes. I wanted to talk shit so bad. Pretty good. The candy cakes are decent. Candy
Okay.
cakes are decent. I
It's
love the
chocolate and
Wawa.
peanut butter. The
Yeah,
what?
I love the Wawa. The Wawa.
Okay, the Wawa is amazing. Yes,
The
yes.
Wawa wins. The Wawa is great. The candy cakes are great, yes. But besides this, so I fly into Philly and I take a red eye because, as you know, I missed my flight Wednesday morning. I fly in Friday morning. I land about 7. I have a wedding at 5 p.m. And then the next day, I'm flying out at about 6 p.m. My dear friend Robert Nealman has a flight at 5 p.m. So I'm going to go to the airport with him. We're at lunch on Saturday morning. I'm hung to fuck over because I had about 20 to 30 goddamn drinks. The demons took over my system at the wedding, and I got way too loose. And on Saturday morning, I go to check into my flight, and there's no information at all about the flight. And I'm like, oh, that's not good. So I go on the American Airlines website, and I go to check in on my flight there to check on the flight status. The flight is canceled for maintenance issues. Okay, maintenance issues. And I haven't got. And I'm telling him, like, we're at this nice pizzeria here in Philly where they got this corn vegan pizza shit going on. I'm like, this is delicious. I made a nice plate of salam, and I asked them, I'm like, they're like, you'd get an email telling you to modify or change the ticket. I'm like, you're right. So I call them, and they tell me. So on Wednesday, I had a flight originally. Wednesday morning, I was supposed to leave here at 6 a.m. to go to Philly. I missed that flight, so I rebooked a flight. I had a flight originally with American Airlines round trip. I book a flight Thursday for Thursday night, a red eye on Frontier Airlines, which, by the way, Frontier Airlines, terrible experience. I did not know. It was like the spirit of the Spirit Airlines. It was
It's
terrible.
an economy airline, yeah, for sure.
Oh, it was bad. It was bad. That's why I didn't sleep on that flight. You couldn't even like the chair didn't recline, nothing like that. I was trying to ball up, but I had a nice 450
Bless
pound
it.
man next to me, like who I was trying to cuddle up with, but he was weird about it, telling me I had to buy him a drink, but like, the plane didn't offer drinks. Anyways,
I didn't think they would.
Saturday, we're at the restaurant and my flight, like I realize it's canceled and things like that. So I call the airline and the airline tells me, since you missed the Wednesday flight, we canceled your whole trip. And I'm like,
So you had no
please,
flight home?
please don't do this to
I
me.
feel like it's an American Airlines issue.
This is very much an American Airlines issue. I thought for a while it was a me issue, but I'm coming around. This was an American Airlines issue. I crash out for a minute, hard crash out, mid-level crash out, like a 7 out of 10. I call American Airlines, and they're basically like, "Was there extenuating circumstances?" I tell them I have an autistic son because sometimes that just works. I'm like, "Yeah, my son has autism. I couldn't
It
find somewhere
does.
for him to go." I pulled the card. I pulled the card hard. And the lady puts me on hold and she comes back. She's like, "Okay, I was able to get your flight like reopened because we canceled everything for you. We reopened it. But to rebook your flight if you want to fly out, because my flight originally out of Philly was at 6 p.m. I would have landed at about 9 LA, which landed me time where my son's mom, Benji's mom, was gonna pick me up at the airport and take me home. Great. Works out good. I had to rebook for about 9 o'clock at night, which gets me into LA at about at midnight, which is still fine. I can still go take the bus, whatever. It sucks, but like it's whatever. I guess I can live with it. But this on top of that, they're like, "Oh, but since you fucked up, not us, we're gonna charge you an extra 250." My whole round trip ticket was 250. I had to pay an extra 250.
My God.
It was insane. I had to pay an extra 250 to rebook this flight, which now I realize, like, I feel like I got hosed. They reopened it. I should have got a free fucking transfer or free like rescheduling. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, mid crash out.
Feel like
So I
this needs to go on American Airlines Twitter. You need to tag them in
yeah,
it.
American
That's usually
Airlines.
how you get this resolved.
American Airlines, fuck you guys. Yeah, does American Airlines have a TikTok? I got more pull on TikTok than
Oh,
Twitter.
I'm sure
I'm gonna
they probably do.
I'm gonna
Yes.
blow you fucking animals up on TikTok right now. Like as soon as this is done, I'm
American
going to be
Airlines beware.
relentless with you. So I rebooked the flight, and my flight in out of Philly is delayed as well. So I'm flying out of Philly. Like I end up leaving Philly at about 11 p.m. And good riddance, Philly. Like no disrespect to the residents of Philly, but your city, it smells like trash. I wanted to get out of there. So I get out of there finally. I fly out. I land in LA at 1 a.m. At some point, the lady next to me on the airplane is listening to like sleep hypnosis shit without headphones on. She's doing it
Oh
like
my
just
God.
it's just
So
it's she's
rude.
raw dog in the audio. And it's not just rude, it's borderline offensive. And everyone's looking over like, what's this lady's deal? I'm like, I don't know. That's not my mom. I know she's my mom's age. You guys think that's my mom. I don't know this fucking lady, okay? And so I get into LA at about 1 a.m. And I already looked on the local bus because I took the flyaway. We have a bus that goes from LAX to the Valley over here, and
Okay.
I took the flyaway to the Valley, and I'm reading the bus line. I'm like, oh, the Van Nuys Flyaway it's about 3 streets away or 3 blocks away from the Victory Boulevard, which is the street I live on. I'll just walk over there and I'll hop on the bus, the 164. No big deal, you know what I mean? And
I
I get
agree.
off the plane. I get off the bus. I get off the plane. I realize when I get off the plane, when I get down to the flyaway area, I lost an AirPod. You realize I have one AirPod in right now. I
Oh,
lost my left AirPod on the goddamn plane. I don't know. At this point, I'm not too worried because I'm just like, whatever. Okay. It happens. It happens. I
it
guess I
does.
must have like fallen asleep for a second. It fell out of my ear, maybe. It fell into the lap, into the mouth, into the hands of the lady doing the Bluetoothless audio. I don't know. I walk over to Victory Boulevard from Satakoy, which in my neighborhood, if I were to walk over to Satakoy, this is about a 10-minute, 15-minute walk. It's not a big deal, maybe 20 or something like that. But like somehow over on this part of the valley, this walk becomes an hour. So I'm walking, and it's the middle of the night in the gross part of the valley, and I'm looking at the Ubers, and the Uber's like $100 fucking. It was madness. I'm like, I'll just walk over there. I walk over there. I realized I was looking at the buses. I was looking at PM. So I'm looking, oh, they come at 1:20 p.m., 1:37 p.m., 1:45 p.m. I'm thinking it's AM. So I'm like, they still got a bus running every 20 minutes. No big deal. Like, I'll just walk over there. I'll walk over there. The bus is not running, Amanda. I was bamboozled,
What?
was hoodwinked. I was lied upon too. So I walk over to Victory, and then I'm like, fuck it. It's 2 in the morning or so, and I'm like, Benji's getting dropped off at roughly 6:30, and I'm just like, you know what? Screw it. I'll walk this whole way. And I start walking, and I get about 5 to 9 blocks up, and I Google the walk, and I realize this is 9 miles. This is gonna take me till 6 a.m. when Benji gets there.
Yeah.
This is done. So thankfully, for some reason, the Uber Black was cheaper. I Uber Blacked home. Only $27. So I really only lost the 250 to rebook, the AirPod, the whatever
Yep.
money for the Uber, this or that. But I got hosed. Long story short, I apologize to you, East Coast. I'm never going back there. I will never go east of maybe Pasadena, maybe Arizona or Nevada. Best
My
case scenario. But I'm
gosh.
not I'm not going east of there. I am West Coast till I die. I love you, California. I love you, Oregon, Washington, Hawaii, maybe even Alaska. I don't know. I've never been there, but like
I've been
that is
there. It's
America.
not, no, I would not
I'll
recommend
take
Alaska.
Alaska over Philly. Let me just say that right now.
No.
I'm never going east again, Amanda. I'm never
You
going
know how
east
dark
again.
it is in Alaska half the
I
year?
can
It's
I
like
can
just
live with
depressing as
darkness. I
hell.
was raised in it. I was molded by it. I didn't see the light until I was at least an adult. Okay. Shout out Bane from Dark Knight Rises. I'm never going back to the East Coast. There's a
I'm
full on
so
rivalry. There's a full rivalry
wait, but
going here
I
between me and the
wait,
East Coast.
but I'm just like, to me, your biggest issue is just the flight. I mean, what
Oh, so I didn't
happened?
even mention on the flight. So first off, my bad. I don't have a real ID, and I didn't bring my passport because I'm thinking like, yeah, I'm just domestic flight. I don't know. I get to LAX at like 9 at night or whatever to get on my flight. No real ID. They kind of give me guff, but it's no big deal. At Philly, I go through the Philly airport TSA. And I'm going to at LAX. They did not make me take off my shoes, but in the Philly airport, they made me take off my shoes. And I go in the thing where you gotta do the like little Illuminati sign. You gotta do the thing. And I say to the lady, I'm just like, oh my god, I'm barefoot because you mentioned like walking around barefoot in Philly, and I'm like, this is rotten.
I did.
I'm barefoot at the Philly airport right now, LMAO, and she's like, sir, step aside. And I'm like, LMAO, what's going on? And I look, I can see the scanner, and there's a red mark right upon my wiener and butt. There is a red mark that is like, she's like,
My
you set the
God.
scanner off on your crotch and or buttocks, is what she told me. And I'm like, okay. And then this nice Philly John walks up and he's snapping the glove on, and he's like, sir, do you want to do this in public or private? And I'm like, brother, I've never hooked up with a guy. I think we should do this in public to keep it procedural. And we do a whole thing. He runs his hands up my leg. He does like a credit card swipe on my ass. He
Yes.
he runs, he does what I'm calling a BHHJ, a backhand hand job on me, where he's rubbing his hand on me, checking me, and I can tell. And I'm just in this moment, I'm kind of trying to make it more awkward for him, than it is for me. I'm just like,
Yes.
we're in the middle, and he's just swiping upon me, and I'm just like, this is maybe the most humiliating experience I've had in my life.
That
Well,
sounds pretty damn
Philadelphia. My
humiliating.
issue is not just, I guess it is mainly with the airport, but
Which
I
that
had my first,
tracks. The Philly airport's not
yeah.
great, so that tracks.
I feel like if you want to have your first gay experience, it's got to be in college or so, maybe. And like, I'm too old to be having my first gay experience, but I had a gay experience leading on to this plane flight. And it was because this man, yeah, he BHHJ'd me. And well, I didn't get his name, but if I did, I'll remember you forever. But yeah, Philly, not for me. I'm a West Coast boy. I'm too soft
You
for the world
are,
over there. I don't know if it's the
I
pink
think
shorts or the teal backpack, the teal hat. I
you
don't know what
may
it
be
is
too,
about me.
yes, you may be too soft for the East Coast. It's okay, Rob.
I ain't
You
built
guys
for
live
that
with your
shit, Amanda.
fancy burritos. Live
Yeah.
over there with your fancy burritos, and you'll be just fine.
And let me just say, while I was at the airport, I got a Geno steak sandwich. Dog shit. Dog shit.
You get to the airport. Gosh,
I was busy during the fucking trip. Okay, I was trying to focus.
whatever. You
I was
don't
trying to
get.
drink. I wasn't trying to eat. But the
That's
Philly
like
cheesesteak at
me
the
going to
airport.
get like a Chicago like pizza in the Chicago International in O'Hare. I'm like, no, you don't do that.
I bet O'Hare has better food than the Philly International Airport,
No,
Amanda.
I go
Okay,
to the O'Hare airport all the time, and they do not have better food. Their food also is just
that's
meh.
fair.
I know
That's
because
fair because
I go there.
LAX
It's
also the food sucks. I get
yeah,
it. Okay, I get it. But I was at the
airport
airport.
food sucks.
I hadn't had a cheesesteak yet because I was so busy the whole time I was there. I was like, now I got a 6 hour layover. I'm yapping on the phone. I'm like, I gotta get the cheesesteak into me. Let me do a Geno's here at the airport. If we're being honest, and please cut this part out. The Geno's at the airport even was still pretty decent. It was no Cali B. It was no Cali B,
I
but
will
it was
not.
good. It was good.
Cut that
It
out.
was good, but
I'm
no,
the editor.
cut that out, please.
No, I
Philly,
won't.
we are rivals right now. I never want to see you
Wait, did you
again.
get Cheese Whiz? Did you get Cheese Whiz or did you get
Well,
like provolone?
I asked the guy, I said, cheese whiz is what I gotta get, right? He's like, the provolone is better. And I'm like, brother, you're the John here. You run this fucking town. You tell me. He gave me the provolone. The
You
provolone
should
was
have got
good,
some
but
Cheese Whiz.
I wanted the cheese whiz. I kind of wanted it, but like the guy told me provolone. Who am I to tell him otherwise? I've never fucking, I don't know. I remember being at the same airport in 2020, literally almost 5 years ago. I remember being there and thinking like, oh, I should hit that Geno's because I went with Tyler and it wasn't great. I should try it again. I didn't do it. I'm also under the impression that passing Geno's, while being the most famous, are not exactly the
They're not.
best of the bunch. Of course, that's how it works. But regardless, Billy, you're on my shit list forever at this moment.
There we go. Well, I am sorry you did not have an excellent experience in the Northeast, but
We're West
hopefully
Coast
you'll
forever
think
over here, okay?
West Coast forever. Meanwhile,
West
I'm
Coast
like,
forever.
no, the East Coast is the best. So yeah,
Before we go deeper in here, though, let me just say there's a lot of negative I'm spewing about the
you
Northeast, the state
are.
of
You
Pennsylvania, and the
are.
like, and I will not relent on that. But let me just say here, Amanda, let me just sing your praises for a second. This pod, we started this in March, okay? We started this in March. We're
Hmm.
now almost in the middle of July. Basically, today's the middle of July.
It is,
We
yeah.
have released a Kerosene Heights interview. By the time this comes out, it'll be 2 days old. The day after this, we're gonna have a 10-month summer interview. We have Riley coming up. We have Noxie coming up. We have Sakine. We have Summer Brews. We have so many cool interviews. I am so proud of this podcast and this platform that you and I have created. I posted
Me
something
too.
on TikTok in maybe January, early January, being like, hey, I'm looking for a co host. TikTok's going to close down. Maybe we start a thing. You responded, and I was thinking, hey, me and Amanda, we could maybe do something cool together. That'd be interesting. And it evolved into this great thing we have here where I am more proud of this podcast we have, you and I together, than I am of anything in my life besides my own kids. Honestly, I'm maybe more proud of this than I am my kids because my kids are bad a lot. They're terrible sometimes. But you and I,
They'll
this
grow.
pod, it is, yeah, yeah, hopefully. This pod we have here, I'm so proud of this show, and I believe in this show so goddamn much. We are 4 months into it. We are almost 30 episodes deep when you include
We
interviews. I
are.
think by the time the year ends, we're going to be at like nearly 100 probably, which is
Yes.
insane. The amount of content we're putting out over the next month. There's some weeks where we have 4 interviews. We're going to be putting out 3, 4 episodes a week sometimes. I am just, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of us where we have come together as almost borderline internet strangers and created this
Yeah,
beautiful
pretty much.
platform. Pretty much where it's like we kind of casually knew each other and it was like, hey, you're gonna do a podcast about emo. Let me on it. And I was like, actually, maybe you're the
Right?
right host because like there's enough we have in common, enough we have different, this or that. We have created this beautiful platform here that I truly believe, with the exception of stereotherapy, shout out Lisa,
Yeah,
everyone else
shout
in
out
our
Lisa.
world, we will be surpassing all y'all motherfuckers within 12 months. You know what I mean? Let me rub my mouth for a second. That this is the premier podcast for emo, pop punk, alternative music, news, deep dives, and the like. And a lot of that is because of you. I'm so grateful for this show. I
Thank
believe in
you.
this show. I ride or die with this show for the rest of my goddamn life. I'm so excited to see where we are in 3 months from now, 6 months from now, three
Me
years from
too.
now, and the like. You know what I mean? Like we are, for how new we are, I truly believe we are doing absurdly great. So thank you to everybody listening, watching, that subscribed, everything like that. And most importantly, thank you to you, Amanda, my wonderful co-host. You are the face that runs this place. You are the straw that stirs the drink. You are, you are the mom and the boss of this goddamn show. Let me just say, I love Emo Kids Anonymous.
So do I, Rob. So do I. And honestly, you can't sell
Love this
yourself too
shit.
short because Rob runs most of our socials. He's the one making sure we're getting the engagement, and he is relentless in his pursuit
Oh, I'm
to
obnoxious.
he is obnoxious in the best way possible of really getting us, you know, into the DIY emo scene. I mean, we have some amazing bands coming, emo pop punk bands that are newer that I think everyone's gonna love, and we owe a lot of it to Rob because he's just
My
out there.
ear. I got my ear right on the
Yeah,
soil. I'm listening. If you are a
he's
cool band,
cold
I
calling
believe
everyone.
I'm cold calling. I will slide into your DMs on some reply guy, Tony Jabroni shit. Slide right in your DMs and say, hey, I will make you famous, okay? Come on our pod. And we're able to have these people come on our pod. And it's this coolest thing where, yeah, like I said, we really meet 6, 7 months ago. We start the pod in March, and it's like,
Yeah, you have to
you are my
understand, we don't even know each other, like, in
no,
person. We've never
no,
met
no,
in
no. I'll
person.
meet you in November. I'm literally gonna go to When We Were Young
October.
just to see you, just to see you.
Yes,
October. I will go there just to see you. But it's like we have created this world together. I am so proud of you. And we have other
me
friends that
too.
are podcasters, and we talk. And sometimes they have issues and the like. And I'm just like, I am. My only response to these things is like, God damn. Like I'll message you separately where it's like, I'm so grateful for you. Like our shit we have together is so dope
Me too.
because of the dynamic we have here. So just like
Yes,
thank
but
you
we
for
can't
being my
also
yeah.
well, and thank you. But we have to also remember our fans. We have built what I would consider such a strong and loyal fan base already. Shout out to everyone who
Thank
constantly comments on our stuff, listens, follows us, sends us funny like memes and videos. You guys don't understand how much we truly appreciate you all. Like you don't.
everybody, no matter who you are, from my dear Caitlin to the Bartneys to the Scotch records
The
to the
Marie, yeah.
anyone's. We were today on goddamn Amazon Music
That's the big
Stories. I'm
news.
sorry. Shout out. The only time we'll ever do this. Shout out Jeff Bezos, okay? We were featured on the Amazon Music Stories today for like people are like, what are you listening to? And one of our fucking great fans, our great friends, commented on, I guess,
Yep,
told them,
Marie,
emo
yeah.
kids anonymous, and they shared it where it's like the mind fuck of having Amazon Music post something where it's like, what pod do you listen to?
That's
And they have
cool.
4 listed, and it's like emo kids anonymous is one of them. Absolutely stupid. There's no other way of putting
It
it.
was.
Just stupid.
It was amazing. It
So
was really
thank you to
awesome.
you. Thank you to everybody that listened to this show. I love this podcast more than most people love most things.
It's true. It's very true. Now, with that being said, before we dive into our topic tonight, the other thing we did want to touch upon, and it's kind of relevant because it's about My Chemical Romance, which we did an episode last week on them. They're gonna obviously be brought up tonight, but they just did their first show in Seattle,
Shout
and
out
if
the
you've seen
Black
any of the
Parade.
videos, it was a
Good for
true
those guys.
spectacle.
Because
Yes, good for those guys.
we've been saying lately where it kind of almost feels like it's all nostalgia cast, grab this or that. When I see these videos from the first like Long Live the Black Parade show, it's like, okay, y'all boys are back here. You're putting on a
Yes,
performance. Gerard has gone to the next level of like, I mean, they created a goddamn Eastern Bloc nation with a dictatorship, and like they created
amazing a
Kosciuszko,
story.
whatever it is, their own language and the like in this thing. They are doing live theater during these shows, essentially, where we're having
Live
public
executions.
live executions during the show. God damn, like there's a reason. As I mean, obviously, we're both Fall Out Boy stands, and this thing exists where it's like, oh, Fall Out Boy, Mike Chem, because they're the two big bands, and we fall on the Fall Out Boy side. But like Mike Chem, let me just make it clear: there's no disrespect here. You guys are the goddamn goats of this generation, of this
Yeah.
scene. The way they handle it, the way of just like putting on this great show, everything about them. Ray, Mikey,
Yeah.
fucking
Frank.
Gerard. Frank,
Yeah.
whoever the hell's playing the drums, our dear friend Kaylee, friend of the pod, who's playing the stringed instruments. Great show. I believe our friend Andy, our dear friend Andy, was at the first show. I believe. Am I
Think
tripping?
so. Yes. Yes,
Great
Seattle.
show. I am now very intrigued. I'm going to go out of my way to try to go to the Los Angeles one with Wallow's opening because it's just like,
New Jersey for me, yeah.
and you're getting it Thursday at East. What they're going to play at MetLife Stadium. That's insane. A band from our world playing arenas. My Chem was the one. Fall Out Boy was another. Maybe Panic, Paramore. There's literally about 4 bands from our world that can play
I could do
arenas.
it.
Those are the 4. and my Chem are the only ones that can play fucking stadiums by themselves to me. Fall Out Boys play stadiums. We're
Yes.
giant Fall Out Boy fans, but Fall Out Boy played arenas and stadiums with Green Day's help. My Chem are doing these by themselves with random openers on every show, and random is the word because it goes from Wallows
They
to
are.
Thursday to Alice Cooper to Death Cat, like all over the place. Where it's like, what the hell is going on here? Shout out to My Chemical Romance. You guys,
Yes.
maybe I'm starting to believe that MCR5 might be a real thing.
I mean, I wouldn't like hold my breath on it, but possibly
I'm holding my breath.
that
Fuck yeah,
that
I'll hold my breath.
that could be a thing. It would be nice to see them do something. There was that teaser that happened right for the first show, but I think it was just a teaser to get everyone ready for the first show because like the number 7-11, which is the date of the first show, was on there. So I think that's really what it was. But there's still a possibility. But the
Yeah, I think
interesting thing is
people go a little weird about it, but yeah, that was just for the
they
show.
do all the time. Yeah, but the interesting thing was the backlash, which I was not expecting, and mainly on the politics of the show itself, people complaining about them bringing politics in the show and wanting to sell their tickets. I'm like, do it, but sell them cheap. Don't be
I
jerks.
love I love
And
the like I'm gonna sell my tickets as protest, brother. They've already got your money. If you sell
yeah,
it at
they've
this
got your
point,
money.
the only person profiting or losing is you. You've already bought the
Yes.
tickets. And if it is this is the year 2025, my cam has been a major band for 20 years. If at this point you did not
Yeah.
realize that the dudes that French kiss each other on stage are maybe a little progressive and a little political, that's on you. That's on you,
Have
the
you?
dumbass
Yeah. Have you
listener.
never been to an MCR concert? Like like
What do you
they
expect?
are. Have you not seen Umbrella Academy? It is
Right.
layered deeply with different political views and stances. Please go watch that if you haven't. I mean, it was like the most popular thing on Netflix at a time. So it still boggles my mind. But if they're gonna sell it, just sell it cheap. Just,
Sell cheap. Yeah, I hope
don't
you
be
guys.
jerks.
I hope there's a
Don't
good
be
chunk.
jerks.
I hope there's a good chunk of 5 to 10,000 MAGA muffs who are selling their tickets to the LA show because I will buy your
What
shit at a
MAGA
loss
people
right
are
quick.
listening to my
Right?
Kim though? What? That
How are you into
boggles
this
my
in the
mind.
first place? My Chem is the most like queer coded band of our world by a mile. Everything about this band, and especially if you're 20 years deep into this, you still love My Chem. I assume you're aware. I want to assume that people complaining online. I live in such like a beautiful, beautiful West Coast bubble here. Shout out the West Coast. No shout outs, Philadelphia, where it's like I want to believe these people are trolling. I want to believe they're all trolls, but realistically, they are not all trolls. There is many people out there who legitimately are like, oh my god, like Nirvana in Bloom area. He's the one who sings all the pretty songs. He likes to keep his gun, like thing like that. There's people out there, I'm sure, that legitimately just liked Welcome to the Black Parade. And we're like, oh, I thought that Gino plays. I thought we were listening to like a keep the politics out of punk rock kind of band. It's like, no, these are kids from the hardcore scene. These are weird comic book kids from the Northeast. These are kids that grew up on the plane flight there, which was not as bad as the plane flight away because I attribute that to leaving out of LAX, the greatest airport in the world. Shout out LAX. I love you. Where it's like, I read that, it's like, Mikey Way and Gerard Way, these guys, like, and Frank as well. There was this level of like, fuck you resistance to like this
Yeah,
macho ness where these guys were from the beginning like we don't fit in anywhere, we are the oddballs, we take this in on our own, we will fight against you. And it's like to take that message and to somehow think that there's anything non-political in My Chemical Romance. If you bought that ticket and you didn't expect anything political, you are a jackass. I'm sorry.
yeah. You are naive, and you're not really listening to the lyrics of
Which
a
is
My
cool.
Chem song,
Sometimes there's some artists I
which
don't
is
listen to.
fine.
You know what I mean? I enjoy the Morgan Wallen tracks sometimes. There's some good Morgan Wallen tracks. I can do some cognitive dissonance and be like, oh, this nice pop, this or that. I can forget about the throwing the chairs out the window and the MAGA shit or whatever.
Sure.
But it's like,
Yeah,
I wouldn't be there and be like, oh my God, this guy like was wearing a Trump hat or something. I'd be like, well, I kind of expect it.
exactly.
What do you expect
Yeah.
from the theater kids?
I don't understand why they would think that, but regardless, if they choose to sell their tickets, I say just be just about it and make a
Well, to
statement
me,
if you want to.
Yeah, make a
Yes,
statement. Make your
sell it to
statement
Rob.
should be yeah, your statement should be just giving it to me for free.
Yes, exactly, 100%. But that is a good segue into talking about what we're gonna talk about today. Is emo dangerous? Or
Yep.
let's talk about what the Daily Mail had to say because they wrote, like, no less than 5 or 6 articles about this from,
The
like,
Daily Mail.
2006, 2008. Yeah, the UK, man, they were
Okay.
definitely a little bit
Scared
prudish.
fucks. Yeah, we're pro
They're
IRA over here. Okay. Yeah, like yeah. The Daily Mail and the like. You need to get car bombed a little. They're very afraid. Let me just say
a little bit.
before we dive into this, was emo music dangerous? Yeah, if you were a 16-year-old girl listening to these bands and going to the Warped Tour, maybe it was a little dangerous in the sense of there was a lot of Me Too bullshit going on. But that's not
Yes.
what necessarily these articles are referring to in any way.
No, exactly. They're just referring to the songs themselves, the cult-like following, the fact that people were
Satanic
dressing a certain
panic.
way. So yeah, this is definitely satanic panic of the 2000s. What you saw in the 80s and everything like that. This is that in the 2000s, 100%. And I want to start off with the quote, the person who actually said emo is dangerous to start off, who started a bunch of beef, or not a bunch, but a little bit of beef with Fall Out Boy. And that's Brandon Flowers from The Killers
Brandon
in
Flowers from the
NME in June
Killers.
of 2006.
Shout out Brandon
This guy,
Flowers.
he has since apologized. Yeah.
Yeah, Brandon
Yeah.
Flowers was a
But he
young man
said,
who was feeling fucking very headstrong at the time. He was probably a little jealous because his band is great, but Fall Out Boy and My Chem are taking the attention. They came like a year or two too late for the indie sleaze scene. But that's on you, Brandon
yes,
Flower.
it's on you, Brandon. Yeah, you got lobbed in with everyone else. Honestly, I would have thought they, like when I first started, they seemed to be lobbed in with everyone else. But he said, happy emo funnel, and everyone loves them without thinking. Oh, Fall Out Boy likes you? Fuck, I'm gonna go buy your CD. So he started a whole
First off,
thing
let me just say
um,
Brandon
that
Flowers versus
emo is dangerous.
the individual members of Fall Out Boy in a straight hand-to-hand combat battle. Let's say he maybe takes Patrick. He maybe takes Pete.
That's a song.
Maybe. I don't think he's getting past Andy. I think Andy's beating his ass.
I don't know. I think you underestimate Patrick, but I've heard that in his youth he was quite a hothead, and he
I can
could
see
get into
that.
some
Okay.
fights. I'm pretty sure there was some
Okay.
fist fights. There were some fist fights
I believe in you,
in the
Patrick Stump.
studio with him and Pete. So yeah, I
So
think
we got
young
Patrick
Patrick
and
Stump had enough heat in the
throwing
system.
hands with, but also Brandon
Yes,
Flowers, dorky Mormon kid from Nevada. Okay. You're right there with Brendan Urie and the one and only
yeah.
number one public enemy of the Emo Kids Anonymous, Benson Boone. I'm sorry, Brandon Flowers. I definitely have multiple members of Fall Out Boy over you. But what about Joe? Is Joe whooping Brandon
Yeah.
Flowers' ass? Joe
Yes, Joe,
pre-back injuries.
100%.
Joe
Yeah.
pre-back injuries. He's whooping that ass, right? Like I
Yes.
got my money on these boys. I
Oh
am
yeah,
running that
he
FanDuel
yeah.
parlay hard.
Joe could definitely take him. I would do it too. Definitely 100%.
I love Sam's Town. Okay, shout out to the "When You Were Young" cover by 10 Months Summer that we are going to hopefully get our hands on. But Brandon
Hopefully.
Flowers, you are going to get handled by Andy Hurley at the very least. Okay, I
At the
don't
very
the
least.
Danucci's the likes from the Killers. And we're doing a 4-on-4 fight. I'm going with the Fallout Boys. Actually, I'm going with the kids that came from the hardcore scene.
I
I'm
would
going to
take
take
them.
Pete Wentz over you. Pete Wentz is taking some punches. I'm guessing he's taking some spin kicks. He's taking some throwing
Hell yeah.
hands in the pit at a fucking hardcore show. I don't believe that the nice Mormonites from Las Vegas, Nevada, are going to hang with our sweet
No,
dear Chicagoland heroes.
Patrick Stump took a base to the face by his own Pete
Face
Wentz.
face.
Oh,
Yeah,
and
these are dogs.
blacked
These
out
are
for
at
a
the end of the
second.
day.
Yeah,
At the end of the day, this is still the punk rock scene that these bands are attached to. I'm going with the punk rock scene over the indie scene every goddamn day.
exactly. But it is interesting that, he calls emo dangerous. Now, I feel like in his case, it's not in the way that the Daily Mail will later call it dangerous, but yes, the Daily Mail came out with several articles during 2006 about emo. Why? Because emo in 2000s was creating, it wasn't just music, right? It was more of a culture. So there was a certain hairstyle, there was a certain clothing, and a lot of it was dark. And I could think you could attribute a lot of it to, well, My Chemical Romance. A lot of people were dressing like Gerard Way. A lot of people were dressing like Pete Wentz, and then on top of that, you had the lyrics to go along with it. We all know the lyrics, right? You know the lyrics from Ohio is for Lovers, Cut My Wrists and Black My Eyes, right? And then of course, Take Back Sundays, You Shall Last Summer, you know, those lyrics, you know, and with my last dying breath, I bleed on your shirt. I hope
Apologize
I
for bleeding on your
bleed on
shirt.
your shirt.
Yes,
Like, come
beautiful lyric.
on.
Yes.
Beautiful lyric. And then let's not even forget Motion City Soundtrack, one of my favorite songs. Let's get
RGFUAD.
let's get fucked up and die. I mean, and of course he
Right.
says figuratively, of course, but again, it's fixed
Specifies in the
with
lyrics right after. It says it's
it,
fucking figurative. Like, come on, you
it,
guys.
it,
We know what he's talking about.
yeah, but people don't really tend to care about that when they want to latch onto something and find something to worry about. So lo and behold, these boys who were mostly boys, right? We had Paramore, but for the most part,
Boys. There are boys
it was
at this
boys.
time, as we touch on with our interviews that are recent, like this third wave emo 2000s, they are boys. If they are physically men at this point, they're still kind of boys. There's a lot of incel behavior and just like immaturity and the like. That being said, there was not much better behavior going on in the indie sleaze scene at the time, as we know it as. That's written about in the book. Meet Me in the Bathroom, The Strokes, Block Party. You know these bands, LCD Sound System, The Killers, who are loosely adjacent to that scene. Those bands and the like. There was also a lack of maturity there. I mean, these guys are just kind of nipping their way through bathrooms in Manhattan and the like, you know what I mean? Like they are not much better than our world was. Do not
Yeah.
let it get twisted.
Yes, Brandon Flowers. Luckily, he did
Yeah,
apologize.
Brandon.
But
Yeah. We forgive you,
regardless,
Brandon.
we forgive you. But you have these lyrics that are going hand in hand in a time sung by young men who are dressed differently, approaching everything differently. They're using their emotions, which in the thousands still is not what men would do. Yes, there are bands in like metal and hard rock or like Nickelback and things like that who address their emotions, but not in a poetic way. It's like in a manly way, or they're like
Yeah.
drinking back their sorrows and they're not going to these extreme lengths and really talking about their feelings. And that was always the issue with emo music from the beginning. You know, that's why Rites of Springs and stuff were made fun of because they were talking about their actual feelings and
Those are
not
being pussies.
exactly. So you have all that going on. And of course, the mainstream media is latching on to that and seeing it as a potential problem, right? Because of the way they're dressing, because of the lyrics that are going on in these songs and the different iconography, like especially when the Black Parade came out, the idea of this parade towards death and everyone's going to join the Black Parade, which is if you listen to it, it's a beautiful, story about a man coming to terms with his illness and dealing with it and the people he needs to say goodbye to. It's a beautiful, beautiful rock opera, but no one's in the mainstream media is looking at that like that. They're looking at what they're seeing online, what's happening. And yes, there are some things that happened online and in real life that I think played a part in why this became this Black Parade cult, this satanic cult of emo music.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. So the Daily Mail, the first thing that we got to talk about, obviously, in 2000, what was it? In 2008, there was a young woman or a teenage girl named Hannah who unalived herself. So just quick, trigger warning. Yes, we're right. And the actual quote or the actual headline of this article was "No child is safe in the sinister cult of emo," and talked about this young girl named
Sinister
Hannah
cult of
Tate.
emo.
Yes, who basically listened to emo music. Michael Rose was one of her favorite bands, and yes, she unalived herself, and in the midst of finding out information about her, after her passing, her parents and everyone had discovered that she was, I believe, on like the Reddit threads, and there was like this Black Parade cult, and there's all these things, and so they attributed her listening to emo music and everything to her
Yes. They
mental
were
health
attributing the
downfall,
Black
mental
Parade,
health.
the name of the seminal album, the 2006 album from My Chemical Romance. They were associating the Black Parade with this place you go when you die was the idea.
Yes, it was the
Was
place you
the
go.
idea of the satanic panic articles was like, oh, these third, and it was like very common where it was like 13, 14-year-old very young kids where it was like they're doing suicide and they're going so they can go to the black parade. Now that being said, I'm sure there was a few people who did decide to end their lives, and terrible, heartbreaking for the families, for everyone involved. Terrible experience. I can't imagine. We're both parents. The idea of losing your kid or this or that from that, I get it. You lose your mind. You're looking for answers of why did this happen? You know what I mean? I get that. I'm a dad as well, but let's take a step back. This is ridiculous. We are we are doing satanic panic for lack of better terms, like we said already. Like
Yeah,
you're reaching very hard to find a thing to blame. And the same thing we're like, yeah,
blame
if you had
Metallica.
imagine if you had a kid, if our kids if we were a little older and our kid, in the 2010s, this was going on, late 2010s, it's like, oh my God, Lil Peep, the emo rappers. We got the SoundCloud suicide movement going on. All these kids are taking perks. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
well, much like our episode with Dan Rinaldi, where we talk about,
Yes.
bands are not saving your life. Bands are also not ending your life. Bands are not responsible for these things. At best case, these are forms of art. These are forms of expression. At worst case, these are commercial commodities that exist to make money off of you and to sell you a product that you can enjoy and take in while you vacuum your house or take a shower. Really, the way most people take in music is just like some background noise. So, like, the idea of these being the things that lead you to death, well, yes, if you're 13 years old, 14, 15 years old, very serious. I do understand you can have a deeper connection to these things. Everything can feel more important than they are. But as an adult, there should be a level of taking a step back and realizing, like, what the fuck are we doing here?
Yeah. No, and that's I think what it's interesting to see the article, reading it again, and how, they talked about the parents said, she did like harm herself before. And when they talked to her about it, she said that it was an initiation ceremony. And I think I read some articles around like the idea of when you get people together with mental health issues and they feed off of each other, and that can be problematic, but that's not necessarily the band's fault or the lyrics fault. It's the way people interpret things. It's the way you take one person who influences another, and they're talking online and things happen, and
If you were, yeah,
not great things, but yeah, it's what can happen in those scenarios, but it's not always the case because, we also talked to Dan about, people say these bands save their lives. You're right. And, we have our friend Lisa on Stereotherapy who talks to bands and about mental health and talks about emo and mental health. And a lot of good things happen with, a lot of these bands do a lot of good things to help promote good mental health and, promote like suicide awareness so that people are, if you feel like you are
which
in
I
crisis of
imagine,
health.
I imagine
Yeah.
as someone who mainly runs on the happy scale of things, my chem to me was very on top of that stuff. Specifically. Like, I know, like, Fall Out Boy was, I know we're gonna speak a little later on, like, To Write Love on Her Arms, and like, for the most part, our scene was very anti that, you know what I mean? And yes, there's gonna be some young people and the like. It's an unfortunate circumstance where they're going to latch onto the wrong parts of things. But if you were to sit down with a Gerard Way or a JT Woodruff or a he Wentz or anyone in our scene who is a main lyricist and the like, they will tell you the idea was the opposite. The idea was to get you through these hard times. That's
And
what the
because that's
purpose of the
yeah.
lyrics was.
Because that's what the lyrics did for them. I mean,
Yeah.
if we look back at, I did the acoustic tour for Ohio's for Lover or Silence in Black and White. And when JT, who it should be a great, everyone should get to chance to talk to him. He's an amazing person, an amazing human being. But he talks about the things he was going through when he wrote those songs and how that helped influence his lyrics. Like it was cathartic for him. In the same way, Pete Wentz, a lot of the songs that he wrote for Infinity on High are based off of his attempt that he made, when he overdosed,
Hallelujah.
right?
Hallelujah
Yeah,
right there. Just the
exactly.
outro, the just doing the Leonard Cohen song is basically the outro and the like.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
that is, if I'm not mistaken, that's what he heard either like
yeah,
that was playing or in his head when like as he's, ODing on
yeah,
Ativan and the like, where it's like that's
yep,
what saved him and the like. Like the idea There's a lot of melodrama and melodramatics attached to 2000s third wave emo and the like. But I think at the root of it, the guys that were truly writing the songs, the idea was a message of hope, of getting the fuck out of that negative headspace you're in and just seeing the brighter side of things. And yes, as a 12 to 14-year-old, 11 to 15-year-old kid or whatever, maybe those things would get lost in translations. I'm sure there's a few instances where the opposite happened, and that's heartbreaking. For every tragic life maybe lost in this world, which I would put at a number that we can count on two hands. You know what I mean? For every one of those, there was a thousand, 10,000, 100,000 kids maybe that were saved by these bands
Oh
to
yeah,
some degree.
100%. Yeah, and even and the band members themselves as well. Like Burt McCracken has spoken out about his own depression and how the first two used records really helped to save his own life. Hard Way has had his own battles with mental health, and he has talked about those as well. And I think it's worth noting that, these articles that these people write about emo music fail to understand and really look at the music and see what these people are actually saying. They latch on to a few headlines, they latch on to what like iconography they're using. Like, yes, MCR was using a girl in a casket coming back to life in Helena, right? Like there's these different things that they're using in their music and stuff to portray certain ideas that they think is harmful, much like they probably thought the goths were harmful. There was the whole, we cannot forget, this happens all the time with mainstream media. We cannot forget how they blamed people like Marilyn Manson
Yeah,
for
Marilyn Manson got
the
blamed for
Columbine
Columbine.
shootings
Yeah.
and different things like that. It's always a thing.
It's
But
easy
in
to
this
latch
way,
on and grab something. I feel
exactly.
like I mean, we can even compare it to like COVID. I'm sure you saw a lot of people you knew went off the deep end during COVID because it's easier for people to believe that there is a larger entity, government, secret society, whatever it is, entity that is in charge and moving all the pieces. And you're smart enough to figure it out. You're the mastermind. You with your grade 11 fucking science. You are the mastermind. You figure this
Exactly.
thing out as well as the leading scientist. It's easier to believe that than it is to believe that the world is kind of random and it's kind of chaos and we are learning things as we go. It's easier to believe
Exactly.
that, like, oh no, this is the thing responsible for that, as opposed to like, I don't know, because the I don't know, the unknown is scary as
Or
fuck
maybe because
sometimes.
these young people who love this music, we have to also remember that not only were the musicians outcasts in their own places, and that's why they formed their bands and started their own communities and
Yes.
started making music in the first place, but also the people who are listening to this music are for the most
Also
part. I mean,
outcasts.
I'm not okay, talks about it, like where a lot of us are outcasts. You have a strong showing of people in the LGBTQ community here in like who love this type of music. You have a lot of women, young women who have a very difficult role in society with where they're expected to do one thing, but they want to do another. And
Yes, I
especially
can't
in the roles
imagine.
of being, yeah, especially in the roles of being a mother or a young girl and how you navigate relationships and how you should be treated by men and how you should treat men and all these things like that. So there's a lot and what you should like, what you shouldn't like. There are a lot of things that these kids gravitated to that these bands provided that they would not otherwise have gotten in mainstream media. And so they latched on to that because it was something for them. And of course, that's dangerous for people who want you to conform, for people who want you to, like what everyone else likes and just be normal, right? Just be
Yes.
normal. This music isn't normal. You should be listening to stuff that doesn't make you think. So listen to your,
Yeah, well, listen to the Jonas Brothers instead,
Britney
which is
Spears, the
wild
Jonas
because
Brothers. Yeah,
at this point, My Chem is quite literally, followed by My Chem Panics. Like we're talking about bands that are charting on the
yeah.
top of the Billboard 200. These are major mainstream acts at the time, but it's very much like, oh no, you should be listening to the Timbaland instead, or the Soldier Boy, or whatever it is at the time. 2005 to 2009, where it's these artists who are like, oh, there's maybe more whatever to it. Where yeah, there's tons of bad
Mars is
messages in
cool.
there.
Yeah,
March comes a few years later, but it's like same thing where it's like, oh, this is a nice thing, but it's like at the end of the day, a lot of music is built on It's emotional. It's at the root of the word emo music. The root of the word is emotional here. Surprise, surprise, the people that latch on to emotional music are emotional. And yeah, there's going to be some younger youth who latch on to it who are at a young age and quite can't figure things out for themselves. And it sucks, but I'm sure there was a few incidences where these things did happen. A very few amount of instances where these things happen. Very few.
Yeah,
Like
and
we're
when
talking.
it does happen, yeah, and when it does happen, we raise awareness and like, Pierce the Veil is a great example. Bulls in the Bronx, if anyone is familiar with that song from Cloud with the Sky,
Oh, this guy
basically
up.
Vic talks about they wrote the song about a fan, influenced by a fan in Australia who went through years of bullying. No one, could not find relief and then took her own life as a result. And her friends had reached out to them and Vic, of course, felt moved and wanted to make a statement right around this. So he wrote Bulls in the Bronx. And if you listen to a lot of Pierce the Veil songs, there's definitely that element, that emo element to their lyrics, really highly emotional in regards to Pierce the Veil lyrics. And that was 2000, what, 12 is when
That's
that came
2012.
out.
Point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
emo's
it's
already
yeah,
are slipped off the mainstream at that point.
yeah.
We're deep in the LMFAO stomp clap era at that point.
Exactly. But I mean, and we talk mostly about Daily Mail, and that's a newspaper in the UK, but this thing is a global thing as well. For example, I saw an article like in the Middle East where there were people who identified as emo, or they were looking for these people and arresting them or
I mean,
hurting them. And then
if I'm
in
not in
Russia,
Mexico,
they
I
made it
believe in Russia they made it
right.
illegal, and in Mexico there is a
Yep.
full on a literal borderline civil war between the punks and the emo kids, where it was like this was an actual physical violent war that happens where there's a divide between these groups. And what that leads to like a malignment or a like disenfranchisement that happens with these emo kids, where these people that are already very emotional, dealing with these mental health issues, they're pushed further into the peripheries of society. And when that happens, you lose a sense of community, you lose this or that. And the likelihood of self harm, of suicide, these things, they increase dramatically because you are losing that sense of community and the like. And that was very common
It's
at the
gonna be
time. Yeah, you talk about the way people would talk about emo rap and a lot like or SoundCloud rap 10 years ago, 8 years
yeah,
ago, or the like. That's the way they talked about emo, where it was very much frowned upon, looked down upon, and the like. And societally, especially like a few years, like we're talking 2007, 2009, this time frame where maybe emo is at its commercial peak in terms of third wave, but critical, like musical, it's already on a bit of a downward trajectory because it's already hit a point of success where like, yeah, all the normies have grabbed onto it and maybe people have
yeah,
moved on to something else. But it's like these are 12-year-old kids we're talking about. These are 13, 14. These are middle school aged kids we're talking about who need your direct help. Like we both have kids that are in a few years will be in middle school. And can you imagine something happens to our kid, God fucking forbid, knock on wood. My reaction would not be to be like, how did society cause this? You know what I mean? It's like you need to look
yeah,
inward a little on this. And I think as a parent, I think as people are a little more backwards, I think of like Midwesternites, Southernites, third world
yes.
countryites
Well,
and the
and
like.
yeah,
It just
and
parents in
even
general,
over
not
in
even
England,
even in England,
yeah,
even as I say that as a West Coast, but even on, I'm sure on the coast here where we're more progressive, it's the like where it's like you lose your child, you want to find someone else, not even just in a bad sense to blame, to point the finger out, but it's like you want to find out a why. And I
meaning.
think My Chemical Romance and Fall Out Boy and the black eyeliner and the skinny jeans and the swoopy hair was a very easy why, in the same sense, in the same way that the trench coats and the all black and the goth aesthetic of the 90s was an easy why for a Columbine. You know, it's these easy things where it's like, these are what we can blame. But then you hear a Marilyn Manson talk on it and it's like, okay, well, shit. You made me think
Yeah,
about it for a
or
second and
video
you
games.
realize
Video games are the rise in
it's the
violence because
video games,
everyone
the video games. It's like, bro,
yeah, it's the
they have
video
dangerous
game.
video games. I grew up in Canada. We have the amount of
Grand Theft
bros playing
Auto,
Call of
bad
Duty are the same
influence.
amount in America and Canada. And let me tell you, in Canada, we're a lot less likely to bring a gun to our schools. You know what I mean? Like these are
Yep.
institutional and societal and government issues that are being, the blame is being passed off on artists, essentially just being
Yes.
blamed on artists in a world where we should realize, and we have realized for the most last hundred of years, dating back to like Renaissance era Italian painters, where we realized like these are artists. They provide a service for us, but we are not looking to these people for governmental advice. We're not looking to these people for
Yeah.
societal advice or communal advice, where it's like Gerard Way writes a great comic book, I'm sure. Gerard Way should not be
Does.
answering the questions in terms of the mental health levels of our nation as a whole.
Yes, and nor should he have to.
No, he shouldn't have to at
And with
all.
it
None of these guys should have to.
no,
Same with like, I
exactly.
mean, I
And it
mentioned Gerard a lot. We mentioned Gerard a lot in that because Fall Out or Panic or My Chem is the band going on tour right now, or My Chem is going to be getting a lot of that attention. But as much of that attention as My Chem was getting at the time, so was Pete Wentz, so was Hawthorne
yep,
Heights, so was just this general scene of our world where it was like, it's all emo, it's all gay, it's all this, it's all negative, it's all, it's all these things where it's like,
it's all
my
yes,
my chem didn't make your kid gay. My chem didn't make your kid off themselves or this or that. Like there are steps that need to be taken before that. That is just the easy black, the black sheep. That's the scapegoat that you can blame this on.
exactly. Because it when we go back to the majority of the people listening to this music, like I said, there's most likely going to be bullied. We hear it all the time. I mean, we talk to all of our influence about how we were bullied for the way we dressed, the way we wore our hair, the music we still listen to. I mean, heck, I'm still made fun of for the music I listen to, except now I'm,
Now you
almost
own it.
40 and I don't give a crap what anyone else thinks about what I listen
That's
to.
and that's why I take
I'm
such
bullied
great
at my own
offense.
gym. They
Yeah.
don't want to listen to anything
Yeah,
I would
they'll
listen to.
always
They
say
want to
you
listen to
guys would rather
disgusting
hear,
rap
yeah, you guys would rather hear some
to work
goddamn the
out to.
baby or little baby. No, that's one of the reasons
Yeah,
why I and you take this world so seriously. Is like I joke about it in our group chat where it's like if you've never had a microwave frozen hoagie thrown at you from the second floor of your school's quad as they throw it down to you on the main floor and you get smacked. If you've never had that happen to you, then you don't have the room to speak on this genre. You know what I mean? Like we all,
exactly.
to some degree, if you grew up in the alternative world, you were bullied. And I mean, like I played on the football. I was the captain of my high school football team, and I still got bullied for listening to emo. You know what I mean?
Yes,
Like this was shit
still
that
have.
was you would get bullied for. And to this day, even as the world changes, it still happens. But that being
Yes,
said,
I still have.
this is not their fault.
No. And the other thing we have to touch upon, and I mentioned it briefly, is just the effeminate nature or like the masculinity of it all, the misogyny of it all. One of the things there's an academic article from 2011 by a Dr. Lucy Hill. She was a lecturer at University of Leeds, and she
University
really
of
researched
Leeds.
that
First
whole.
and only
Yeah,
reference of
shout
the
out,
University of Leeds on this. Yeah, Leeds. I only
probably.
know you for the music festival. Probably get maybe might be one of the yeah the last peer
Unless
reviewed
they happen to the
essays that
next
gets
week.
mentioned.
Hey, for this one, I figured it'd be worth it. But she mentions, she
Good pull.
challenged the discourse around mental health, mental illness, and around emo and about my chem specifically. And she really said, like, she found that women, particularly women, were treated as victims of the music rather than fans who found solace or agency in the message. So she attributed it to the fact that, rather than
Bro,
emo being, you know, a fashion that pushed them towards feeling desperation, you know, it's she said they're saying
you're
that
victims of the fucking
yeah,
sad
they're
boys.
saying, what women have to say, they're just gonna minimize women's feelings and just attribute it to nothing more than their interest, and that is a frivolous waste of time. Not that they actually have things going on in their lives that could truly be affecting them mentally. Like, something had to have triggered them, not just the music, to make them feel this way, whether it be bullying, feeling like, not feeling like they belong. All those things have a large part to do with it. And, you see that this music, like I said, Breaking Benjamin, Nickelback, all those bands, Hinder, things like that. They
Hot
talk
rock,
about,
yeah.
but yeah, they talk about their feelings. They talk about,
Live
but
music,
in a
yeah.
manly, yeah, they talk
Manly
about it in
way
a
where it's like I'm
manly,
drinking my
whatever a
feelings
manly way is. Yeah, whatever a manly way is.
of every bottle.
But this,
Yeah, yeah. I've been up, I've
yeah,
been down.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I've never
Yeah,
made it
but
as a
not
wise
everybody
man.
who would
Never made it as a poor man
okay,
stealing. Couldn't cut it. Yeah, whatever. Sick of silence. Whatever you say,
whatever
Chad.
he's
I don't know.
you just
I
keep
haven't read
thinking
the
it,
lyrics.
Rob.
Yeah. Yeah, I got it. Yeah. You're just be grateful I didn't do the Alberta accent for the Nickelback song. Okay, Amanda?
Yeah,
I could have pulled it out.
you're welcome, yeah. Trust me, I think about the Hinder songs, but when you think about that stuff, that's acceptable because it's done whatever they consider
There's
a
a
manly way, but whether
a
emo music has
toxic
not been about
masculinity.
that. Toxic masculinity, thank you. That is, I think, a large part of the panic around emo music, particularly during this time. A lot of young women, we talked about this in our previous episodes about third wave emo, about how young women gravitated towards it. I, being a young woman myself at the time, gravitated towards it. It spoke to us. And I was a cheerleader, right? I was a cheerleader. I was like an honor student, all that stuff. But like this music spoke to something that I could not express
Yes.
outwardly from the inside, right? So that you see a lot of probably a lot of girls like myself who gravitate to this music, and it scared their parents because that's not what young girls should be listening to.
No.
They should be listening
You're a
to,
nice
I guess,
girl. You're
Britney
listening to
Spears.
NSYNC. You were listening to NSYNC 5 years ago. What
Yeah,
happened to our sweet baby? Like, why are you listening to this? And
exactly.
it's
Why you
like,
listen to this? I'm like, have you listened to Marshall Mathers LP? Because let me tell
like
you.
you realize, yeah, there's a pipeline here, baby.
There's a pipeline, but they see that and automatically they look for, we have to take away this influence because it's dangerous to, these young girls because it's making them abnormal. It's not making them, they can't be part of society. You're not an active member of society listening to this music. And that is what they hate so much about this music. It's not so much that that's really dangerous because it's
No,
not. It's
it's not
that
that more negative
they
than,
can't
I mean,
control it.
at this
It's control you.
point, I would say we're talking 2000s. Hip hop is at its arguably worst in terms of misogyny, in terms of violence, in terms of everything like that. Hard
My
rock
God,
is very like,
R.
what
Kelly,
I
man, he
really
was
meant to
literally talking
say.
about the stuff he was
Yeah.
doing.
I'm sorry for the way I
Sorry
am,
for
or
the
like
way
stupid
I
girl,
am.
terrible song. Like this music is terrible, and it's the same way. Let me just say,
Yeah,
as you
crazy
know,
bitch. Let's not forget Buck Cherry. Hey,
crazy,
you're a
yeah,
crazy
Buck
bitch,
Cherry,
but
you're
you
crazy
fuck so
bitch.
good. I'm on
Yeah,
top of
you
it.
crazy bitch, but you do
That's
sex stuff
okay.
nice. No,
But
as a
yeah,
as a very,
not
very,
famous last
very
words. I
no, as a very effeminate man who embraces like pushing like I will embrace. I've always been as feminine as possible for this, like honestly, for the soul's sake. I've always looked at like a punk rock thing. Like I remember I was talking the other day and it's like, oh, Rob went to Philly in his pink shorts with his teal backpack. It's like that's how he dresses. Like I am going to, I've always viewed it in a punk rock way where it's like I like this stuff. If I like the color pink, there's nothing feminine or masculine about these things. Who gives a fuck? I am very anti-traditional toxic masculinity in that sense. And it's like I played on the football team. I did this and that. I lived in small town Alberta at this time. And there's these bullshit connotations implied or applied to emo music at the time where it's like, bro, I'm listening to the same country music you are. I'm listening to the same rap music you are. I'm listening to the same mainstream rock music you are. The only difference here is that the emo scene is not being bros, that we are willing to like, I'll get on stage and I'll kiss the homie because it's fucking funny. Like I was reading Sellout on the plane and I read the part about Mike Kim doing, bullets and the like, and it's like, oh, they realize there's jocks in the crowd. Frank's gonna go over and kiss Gerard because it's like a fuck you to them. I've always personally very been drawn to that in that I am not a gay man, but I am so anti fucking bro jock bullshit that I will fucking walk that line just to make those people fucking uncomfortable because they are the problem. You know what I mean? And at this point, society is
yeah,
shifting so fast. And we've seen it with like the shift into Obama years, into Trump years, where when culture swings too hard one way, there's going to be such a thick resistance to turn it the other way. And we're coming off new metal is popping off 5, 10 years before this, where it still has a machiness to it. And then all of a sudden, these guys are wearing girl
it
pants, they're
does.
wearing girl shirts, they're doing this. It is pushing back against the societal beliefs of what masculinity is in a way where people got so uncomfortable in a bullshit way where people were like, we got to look for something else that's an issue here to me. Because at the end of the day,
Yeah,
it's like the
exactly.
dude, like me
And this is
wearing
the easiest scapegoat.
Yep. This is the easy scapegoat. Okay, two, three, four, five kids unfortunately, lost their lives because of this, because of a misunderstanding of this or that. And they were, but like realistically, not those specific lives and not those specific people. I want to walk this as kindly as possible. Lives are going to be lost regardless of the genre of music. There was kids that committed suicide after Kurt Cobain. There was kids that did the same thing with Korn, with Nickel, with Limp Bizkit and the like. There's kids. There's a famous story of Adam Song. This kid, like taking his own life as Adam Song is on repeat on his stereo. And nobody, I mean, yes, at the time there's a very small rumbling, but for the most part, nobody would think like, oh, Blink 182 is responsible for these mass suicides, this or like this or that, the same way that they would say about a Mike Kim or a Fall Out Boy or the like. But it was
Yeah.
it was a pylon of like, this is challenging beliefs that we have, and you are making us uncomfortable. So we are going to push back on you and turn you into the villain.
Yeah, but when we see what we see happening is it is a scapegoat. It's easy to blame, and particularly with the rise of the culture at the time. It happened so quickly. It got mainstream so fast, and it made people uncomfortable because it's not the mainstream they wanted. They're okay with Beyonce going mainstream. They're okay with the like whatever country artist is popular at the time because they're singing about American values. They're singing about what the heteronormativity would you'd expect because they always do. Same with pop music for the most part is going to be very heteronormative, and this was not that at all. It was, you could interpret Pete Wentz's lyrics any way you wanted to. You can, for whatever you're going for, you could interpret MCR, but at the same time, it's giving people hope. Like when you talk about the, the person who was listening to Adam's song, most likely it wasn't because of the song. It was because that
Well,
song
no,
gave
it
them
was,
comfort for
yeah,
whatever's
that's
going
it.
on
Yeah.
internally. They could be, I mean, I think you can also attribute emo to being a catalyst for us talking about mental health more because before then we didn't. It was shameful to think that you had a problem
Yeah.
that
Oh, yeah.
you could have bipolar disorder or you could have, issues of anxiety and depression. That was a shameful thing in the 2000s. And by these bands talking
It
about
did
it
make it
and
more
now bringing
comfortable. Yeah.
awareness. Yeah, and now, I mean, we talk about it all the time, and it's very open and out there. People are very open to, for the most part, not everyone, but for the most part, it is very commonplace to hear about people's mental health struggles. Everyone's going through it together. People are connecting through that via TikTok or Instagram, etc. I mean, there's whole YouTube channels about it. I mean, I
Literally.
follow several therapist channels about like cinema and therapy. Like it's a whole
I
crazy
would
thing
I
now.
would argue that our biggest issue in general with this era of emo music, this third wave, the biggest issue in regards to how this is handled, how anything else is handled, all the negatives associated with it. The biggest negative is the fact that it was so popular in the mainstream that it caught on with the normies and the regulars and the like, where they start seeing these things. Like when you mentioned this episode topic to me, like was emo music dangerous? My mind immediately went to like, yeah, emo music was dangerous if you were a 16-year-old girl in 2005. You were like,
Might be, yeah, that's accurate.
you wanted to go to the brand new concert or something, and there's some fucking weasel singing in that band who wants to bring you on his tour bus to rip fucking bong loads out of the gas
Yeah.
mask. Like, yeah, that is dangerous for you as a teenage girl in that world. But in regards to life or death stuff, like, no, I do not believe this stuff was any more dangerous than any other genre of music. We live in a world where throughout the 2010s, throughout the 2000s, throughout before that, we're witnessing weekly, monthly shootings in the world of hip hop. There was a while about like 5 or 10 years ago where every other day there was a shooting in Memphis where it's like, oh, this rapper's like this rapper. I never heard of them, but this rapper's gone. That didn't happen in our world. The problem with our world was that it got too mainstream and it got too normalized to where the dorks at the Daily Mail were able to write some articles because they knew they can get some
They always
almost to a detriment. I would say our world is built around don't harm yourself, and the like where it's almost like the message sometime almost becomes like I really like, okay, I get it. You know what I mean? Like it's like we are,
But the Used is a great example. I mean, they have songs about like it's not about it's about hope. It's about saving yourself. And like even My Chemical Romance, we talk about the Black Parade. famous last words, the literal lyrics of that chorus, "I am not afraid to keep on living. I am not
Right.
afraid to walk this world alone." That right there, beyond being the most
It's
powerful
a
thing in the
reason to
world.
live. That's a reason to
Yeah,
live.
they're giving
Like
you hope. Like,
how are you going to hear this record and think that it's about like, oh, it's a cult thing, you kids, you're going to kill yourself and you're going to go to the Black Parade and it's a beautiful place when you're dead. That's what the kids think they're hearing. It's like, no, you're hearing the opposite message. These messages are very much Gerard, Trick, Skiba, fucking whoever, red jumpsuit dick, JT Woodruff, all
Ronnie
these guys.
Richards.
Right,
God, like,
I don't know the red jumpsuit guy.
hey, he was
I
talking
don't.
about domestic violence for crying out loud
Yeah,
with Big
a
Down,
little on the
man.
nose, but like same thing where it's like a lot of these things, like yes, was that too on the nose at time, but like yeah, okay, but like at the end of the day, this music was about unadulterated hope and
It
finding
could,
your
yeah,
way out on the other side. Every one of them was. Fall Out Boy. There's multiple songs about Pete Wentz attempting to commit suicide, but like the message of them all is like, I got out of this. That is the
yes,
message. I hear a hum hallelujah. I'm not thinking, oh, I
exactly.
should off myself. I'm thinking like this motherfucker did it, like we got out. And that's what it should be
That
again.
too. Exactly. There are going to be a select few people within anything that you do where they will take it and misappropriate it. Like, they talked about how Hannah said she was going to go to this Black Parade cult, or they, hearing stuff online. Are there people who will try to use this for their own personal gain to steer people in the wrong
Absolutely.
direction? Absolutely. We see it all the time in other things. I mean, what that I just saw a article, or I just saw a video about that young girl, or who had, you know, goaded her boyfriend into her to unaliving
Yeah,
himself.
yeah. The
She
girl
went to
about
court
about
over
eight
it.
years ago or so, she
Yeah,
was like, well, the
like
whole court case. Yeah.
there's always gonna be people like that in every little thing you do. It's not just gonna be an email, it's gonna be anywhere you go, who try to like exhort and misappropriate things for their own personal gain. That happens, but at the end of the
The
day,
nails,
we
Amanda,
talk
the
about
nails. I'm sorry, the nails are popping today. These are the sickest nail
it.
color I've ever fucking seen in my
Thank
life.
you.
Like, there's been like four moments in this episode where I've been like, those are sick. Like, ever since I
Thank you.
watched the Backstreet Boys documentary they did about 10 years ago, I've been like, AJ McLean had his like toenails painted. I'm like, I should do that. If I'm gonna
You
paint my
should.
nails, that shade right there, those are fucking popping. That's sick
Thank
right there. Yeah,
you.
no, that's a vibe. Like, there's been three times this episode where I've just been like, you got a sick thing going
When
on.
I like them, I use my hands a lot because I do
Yeah,
enjoy
you're trying to
doing them
flaunt
all.
them. I see. Yeah, no, it's
Yes.
working. They're sick.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, thank you. Glaminetics for anyone who's interested. Completely off topic, but thank you. They are my favorite right now.
we're
But yeah,
vibing. We fuck with it.
at the end of the day, music is not dangerous, but there's things in society that people who are listening to emo music are going through. Like, personally, bullying is a huge issue with a lot of these young children. We've all experienced ourselves. If you're part of the scene, there's a good chance you've experienced some sort of bullying in your life. Parents going through divorce. I mean, you have breakups all the time, relationships
Tough.
that crumble, and it's tough. And that stuff gets to you. And
Tough
if
as
you
an
feel
adult
like
is
an
tough as a kid.
outcast
Yeah.
and you can't connect with anyone, that is hard on you. And this music saves a lot of people's lives because people can connect with it and connect with these people. And these people know that, and they try to, bring you up and bring you hope. I mean, please, I beg of anyone, go to a Hawthorne Heights show
Yes.
just to hear
JT
JT
Woodruff will
Woodruff
save your
speak.
will save your life. Again, we talk about
He
the Dan Rinaldi episode where Dan talks about how no artist can save your life, and yes, he is right. But if any artist can save your life, it's artists in our world. So the idea of
Yes,
these artists doing the opposite, it's borderline offensive. I would even
yeah,
argue that as violent as rap music can be at times, or as whatever that country can be, or this, that, it's like I don't believe any genre is doing anything besides uplifting people. This is art, this
it
is
is.
music, this is creativity, this is a thing that is giving people a reason to keep going. Even if it's on a surface level of gee whiz, I can't wait to hear my favorite band's next album. You know what I mean? These bands for every for the 5 to 10 or whatever the number is. I don't mean to minimize the seriousness of any kids that have that did lose their lives because of this stuff. For every one of them, there is 100, there's 100,000 people that will tell you I mean, I'll see it in my goddamn comment sections on
I
TikTok
do
where
it
it's
all
like,
the time.
this band saved my life. And that feels
Yeah,
like hyperbole, and it is to a degree, but there's much more hyperbole in that direction than there is the opposite.
agreed. Yes, and I think that
Yes.
speaks more volumes than what the Daily Mail posted. But boy, the Daily Mail really tried to milk it for all
Fuck
it's
the
worth
Daily
back
Mail.
and
Fuck the Daily
like
Mail.
I think like 4 or 5 articles on it, and they even included
Lonely
Blink-182 in one of the
fucks.
descriptions, and I was like, Blink-182 and then Good Charlotte. I was like, both Blink-182 Good Charlotte. No, they're pop like, have you listened to
As
this? Have you
pop punk
listened
as
to
you
all the
goddamn
songs?
get. We're
Like,
just reaching. Good Charlotte,
now
what's
you're
issue?
reaching.
Their suicide song is Hold On. Hold on if you feel like letting go. Okay?
Yes,
That's the goddamn Good Charlotte song.
I
That's the one
agree.
song that
Yeah,
touches
right?
on this. Blink
And then they're
came
talking about the
together.
lifestyles of the rich and famous. I mean, I was like, I don't
Okay.
get it. I don't
No,
get what
there's
you're talking about.
nothing here. You guys are being weird about this. Stop it. If you're a parent
Yes,
watching
right.
this and you feel this, stop it.
Exactly.
You're worse than
100%.
Philly.
And I think about the journalists at the Daily Mail, and I don't know much about the Daily Mail, but I feel like it's one of those
Garbage
papers
from a
that's not
country,
what you
a
see, like,
colonialist country. Garbage. The only media outlet from the UK that I care about is The Guardian. And the only reason I care about them is because they
you like
wrote
The
a nice
Guardian.
article about me one time. So shout out The Guardian. You get a pass. Daily
I
Mail,
also
go
read The
fuck yourself.
Guardian.
Yeah. Guardian, you get a
There we
pass.
go.
Daily Mail, you can get fucked. We don't want to hear you again.
Yes. Well, we'll still will hear them online, I
We'll still
guess.
hear
But
you
yes,
because yeah, we need content. So yeah, go ahead and write your articles. Because yeah, give
write
us
your
another
articles. We'll
episode.
be here to comment on it. Exactly. But overall, I think we can agree that at the end of the day, the music itself is not dangerous. But I think society treating it as dangerous is dangerous. And that's something that we should always take into consideration. It can cause a lot of people to get hurt because of it, because you hear this stuff from the media, and it can cause division. I think that the media calling it dangerous and making a big deal about it makes it more that's dangerous to me. The media, it's always, I believe, a bad actor in a lot of situations, and this is
Yeah.
one of those areas. I think
Gotta
the
get
media
them
is a bad
clicks,
actor.
baby. Gotta get them clicks. You gotta get them
Yes,
clicks. And
just
at
like
that
they
point,
were
you're getting the clicks
in
at
the
the
90s.
detriment of other people.
Exactly. So, but I think, is that all you have on the topic for tonight, Rob?
I feel like I've ranted enough for the night between this and our 10 Mo Summer episode that's going to come out a day after this one. I'm feeling pretty good,
Yeah.
Amanda. I appreciate you. Again, like I said at the beginning of the podcast, I love Emo Kids Anonymous more than most people love most things. If you guys are watching this, please subscribe, like, follow, comment, engage, all that shit. We love you guys. If you're watching this, we're going to have so many cool interviews, so many cool episodes on the docket coming up over the next few months. I'm so excited and happy to see where this podcast has come over the past 4 months and where it will go over the next 4 months, the next 4 years, the next anything. I believe in this podcast the way some people believe in
You.
Jesus, you know? And I'm grateful for you, Amanda. You run a great
Sounds
ship
good,
here.
bro.
I thank you for being the goddamn boss of this show. Thank you for running
Yeah,
this
big
ship.
play.
I thank you for running this ship as smoothly as you do. Without you, it would just be us. And by us, I mean a royal we thing here where it's just me. It would just be me rambling into a microphone, and I would have stopped after 3 episodes. So thank you for existing. I love you a lot.
Well,
I gotta
I
go. We
love you
gotta
too.
wrap this up. Appreciate the fuck out of you. Everyone listening, we appreciate you as well.
We do. And with that, everyone, thank you for watching and listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to all of our social medias, Emo Kids Anonymous. We got a lot of great stuff coming up for you guys over the next weeks. So please ring that bell, hit the bell for notifications if you're on YouTube, or, I think the bell on TikTok and things like that. So you get notified of when we produce new content, so you can keep up to date with what's going on Emo Kids Anonymous. Other than that, we love you guys, and we will talk to you all soon.
Goodbye.